Sometimes the biggest twist is the one hiding in plain sight. A blink and you'll miss it painting, a character that wasn't supposed to exist, and a casting change that rewrote an entire storyline. When Wednesday dropped on Netflix, it wasn't just a revival of a beloved Gothic icon, it was a cultural reset. But buried beneath the quirky one-liners and murder mysteries, there might be something even bigger. Because what if the Laurel Gates we met in Season 1 wasn't the real Laurel at all? What if everything we thought we knew about the villain was misdirection? In this video, we're diving deep into a theory that could flip the entire Wednesday timeline. A behind-the-scenes decision, a visual clue most people missed, and a potential comeback no one saw coming. Let's talk about the Laurel Gates who never showed up, and why she still might. Before she was Marilyn Thornhill, Christina Ricci wasn't even in the plan. That's right. The role of Nevermore's quirky botany teacher was never meant for the 90s icon who originally brought Wednesday Addams to life. In fact, the showrunners had someone else in mind, actress Thora Birch. Thora, known for cult classics like Ghost World and American Beauty, was originally cast to play Tamara Novak, a normie teacher with a close connection to Enid Sinclair and a protective eye over Wednesday. Her character wasn't a villain. She was meant to be a mentor, a calm in the storm. But just days before shooting began, Thora Birch had to step away from the project due to personal reasons. That unexpected exit triggered a major rewrite in the scripts. Tamara Novak was scrapped, and in her place, a new character was born, Marilyn Thornhill. But here's where it gets interesting. That rewrite didn't just patch a hole in the story, it may have created a bigger one. Because if Thornhill was a last-minute creation, what does that say about Laurel Gates? When Christina Ricci was announced as part of the Wednesday cast, fans went wild. It felt like the perfect full-circle moment. The original Wednesday returning to the Addams universe, now as a mysterious normie teacher. But the truth? That wasn't the original plan. Not even close. Ricci stepped in only after Thora Birch exited the series. And while her performance as Marilyn Thornhill added layers of charm and nostalgia, her character, and especially her twist reveal as Laurel Gates, was a result of fast rewrites, not long-term planning. And that detail matters. Because if Marilyn was written on the fly, then her role as Laurel Gates might not have been the original arc for the real Laurel at all. In other words, what we saw in Season 1 might have been just a placeholder, a cover story to keep the plot moving. And the real Laurel? She could still be out there, waiting. But the biggest clue? It's not in the script. It's hanging on a wall. If you blinked, you might have missed it. There's a portrait shown briefly in one of the episodes. A childhood painting of Laurel Gates hanging in the background. It's the kind of detail most viewers overlook, unless you pause the frame. Because here's the weird part. The girl in that painting? She doesn't look anything like Christina Ricci. The face is softer, the structure different, eerily similar to someone else. And that someone else might just be Thora Birch. Which begs the question, was this painting created when Birch was still attached to the project? Or was it left in on purpose, as a visual breadcrumb? Some fans have brushed it off as a production oversight, but others, the deep-cut theory crafters, think it's a quiet clue. A signal that Ricci's Marilyn wasn't the true Laurel Gates, but a narrative decoy, a version of the character inserted to serve the plot, while the real mastermind still remains unseen. Think about it. Why would the production leave in a portrait that clearly doesn't match their villain, unless she isn't the villain they want us to remember? Let's put all the pieces on the table. A character that didn't exist in the original scripts, a casting change that reshaped the plot, a portrait that doesn't match the actress, and a villain reveal that felt maybe too convenient. What if Marilyn Thornhill, as performed by Christina Ricci, was never meant to be the true Laurel Gates? What if she was just the first act? The theory goes like this. Marilyn was a proxy, a stand-in, a puppet executing part of a bigger plan. Her role as Laurel Gates was designed to mislead Wednesday and us, which means the real Laurel Gates, the one we've never seen, could still be waiting to appear. And here's the twist. If the original plan was to have Thora Birch involved in a more central, trusted role, maybe that plan was just delayed, Maybe it's still on the table for season 2. Imagine the reveal. The real Laurel Gates shows up. And it's Birch, the face from the painting, the original casting choice, not as a teacher, but as the puppet master behind everything. That wouldn't just be a plot twist. It would reframe the entire first season. And it would prove that in the world of Wednesday, even identities can be rewritten. In a series where nothing is what it seems, Wednesday might have pulled off its boldest trick yet, hiding its real villain in plain sight, by not showing her at all. If the painting was intentional, if the casting change was more than a production hiccup, then we may be heading into season 2 with a missing Laurel still waiting in the shadows. And maybe, just maybe, the story we thought was wrapped up is only halfway told. In a series where nothing is what it seems, Wednesday might have pulled off its boldest trick yet, hiding its real villain in plain sight by not showing her at all. If the painting was intentional, if the casting change was more than a production hiccup, then we may be heading into season 2 with a missing Laurel still waiting in the shadows. And maybe, just maybe, the story we thought was wrapped up is only halfway told. So what do you think? Was Marilyn Thornhill really Laurel Gates, or just a pawn in someone else's game? Could Thora Birch still return as the actual mastermind? Drop your theories in the comments, and if you're into deep dives, fan theories, and everything Addams Family, don't forget to subscribe.